Hi there, this is Brianna with Brianna Arlene Knits, and today I'm going to demonstrate how to work the leaf motif that you see in this hat here. So this is my Cloud Peak hat, which I released last year, and I'm also going to be releasing soon another pattern that uses this, the Cloud Peak socks. So here's some more examples of that motif worked in a sock. So I've got a hat in progress that we'll be working on today. Let me get that out. And I have done the 1x1 ribbing up to the first leaf motif row, and I've worked a few of these, you can see those here, and I'm ready to work the next one. And so this is actually a pretty simple technique once you know how to do it, but it can feel a little finicky at first. So what you're going to do is you're going to count down in your next, once you get to the stitch where you're going to do your leaf motif, you're going to count down in this column 8 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I'm going to knit into that 8th stitch. And you're going to pull a nice big loop through. Now you're going to knit into the 7th stitch in that column. So just one higher up. Make a nice long loop, and you're going to keep doing that until you have 6 stitches on your needle. So that's 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to knit at the top of the column, so just knit the normal stitch that you would have if you were just plain knitting. And so I still have all of these longer stitches on my needle that now I need to bind off to create that leaf. So I'm going to start with my rightmost stitch, and I'm just going to pull that over the stitch I just knit, and I'm going to keep doing that from right to left until I just have that one stitch at the top of the column. So, and that's it. That's how you create the motif. So there's another way to do this that I actually think looks a little neater, and I will show you that. I'm going to do a few stitches to get to where the next leaf would be in this hat. So the other way that you can do this is you can use a crochet hook. Also, if you have just one of these little tools, I don't actually know what this is called, but it helps you like pick your stitches, or if you have drop stitches, it's really helpful. I think a lot of us have these kind of just in our little notions bag, but I'm just going to use the regular crochet hook, and in that case I'll hold my yarn in my left hand, do the same thing, but I'm using the crochet hook. So I'm counting down the column 8 stitches, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, putting the crochet hook in that stitch and then pulling a loop through and putting it on my right needle. And actually when I do this, I keep it pretty loose, like almost like it's going to fall off, because as you pull the next loop through with your crochet hook, it tends to pull it a little tighter, and I find that the tension's better if I don't worry too much when I originally pull that loop up as to the tension at that point, because it'll kind of take care of itself. So I'll just continue to do this until I have 6 long loops on my right needle. So there's 6. I'll put the crochet hook down, knit that stitch at the top of the column, and then you're just binding off again just as we did before. Okay, and there's your leaf. And I'll just knit a couple stitches past just so we can take a look at this. What I like about the crochet hook is I think the tension's a little better. I think this comes out to be a little looser. See, you can see that this one where I just used my knitting needle, it's a little tighter. You can go back and kind of fix that. You can pull these a little loose and even them up. In the end, I think they all even out. And what's nice is if one's tight and one's a little loose, I mean, leaves in nature are all different, right? So if you have one that's a little smaller and one that's a little bigger, that honestly feels like pretty organic and natural to me. So I don't worry too much about it. But that is the leaf motif. And then one other thing too that I've heard from some knitters, especially with the hat, because the hat comes with instructions for just a DK, you know, just hold one yarn and then you can hold two. This is a suri and a fingering weight together. And so I think that if you have a nice plump yarn, the leaves tend to look a little more three-dimensional, like you can see that here. Versus this one, I think the suri makes them look a little flatter. And so that's just something to consider when you're choosing your yarn. I still think this is beautiful, and I really love the color combination here, how that gold and pink really blend so nicely. But it is a little flatter looking just because I think that suri flattens out the texture. But either way, I think they're both really beautiful. So there you go, that's the leaf motif. And you'll also be able to practice it on these socks pretty soon. This pattern will be coming out in July. Thanks for watching.